3 ways to stay under the covering of God. Have you ever wondered why something kept reoccurring and happening in your life and you never knew the reason why it kept coming? In order to find out what that thing is, we need to evaluate our life, but first, we need to evaluate our mind. This brings me to my first point of staying under the covering, is guarding your mind. Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your mind above all else, for it determines the course of your life. The mind is so powerful, like it determines where you are going to go. It's so powerful that we need to constantly refine it and purify it. We're supposed to have a mind like Christ, so we're supposed to think like how Christ thinks. We need to think so nothing can be corrupted. Our mind cannot be corrupted if we're thinking like God. 1 Samuel 16:14-17 says how Saul was tormented by evil spirits, and he was filled with depression and anxiety. And during this time, he allowed Satan to have access to his mind, and it drove him mad to the point. So he was trying to find a cure. David was his cure. He was a musician. He was supposed to help Saul get out of it, to help Saul fix it. But he was corrupted so much that he tried killing David. The thoughts that kept coming in Saul's mind, whatever he kept thinking to say, whatever he had thinking to do, he eventually did it. He thought about killing David. Look what he tried to do. He tried to kill David. So whatever you think to do, you will eventually do it. This brings me to my second point. Take God's way out. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted, He will not let you be tempted beyond you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will give you a way out. We have a choice. We really do have a choice in this. Deuteronomy 30:19 says that we are given a choice, life or death. In that temptation, we have the ability to either choose God, which leads to life, or Satan, which leads to death. 1 Samuel 15:1-3 talks about the Amalekites. They were a group who wronged Israel in the past. So God still had to judge them. So he told Saul, kill women, children, and men, and livestock. So when Saul was doing it, he only killed women, children, and men, but spared the livestock. Any thought that persuades you and that keeps you from fully listening to God is a temptation, and it's from the enemy. But in this temptation, we are given power, supernatural power from God to overcome that temptation, to flee from Satan. Because now what Saul did, what happened in his mind is now coming out of his actions. We will recognize them by their fruit. And now, since he let sin, because now he's out of the covenant. Well, as soon as you sin, you are out of God's covenant. So now, for the wages of sin is death. This brings me to my third point. Live under the abundance of God. John 10:10 says, Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But I have come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. 1 Chronicles 10:13 says how Saul died because of his unfaithfulness and his disobedience to God. That was the only reason why he was able to die. Whereas as soon as he sinned, as soon as he was disobedient, he left God's covering. God never leaves us, we leave God. God keeps his covering on you, but you're the one who physically takes and removes yourself from that. So that's exactly what Saul did. He removed himself from it. And then look what happened. For the wages of sin is death. But he couldn't access that blessing. This verse is basically a blessing because he gives you life, but he wants to give you an extra thing. He wants you to have it even greater than you had. He couldn't even experience abundant life because he was out of the covering. I've experienced abundant life because after 10 years, my stepdad finally was able to adopt me last July. He was finally able, I became a family on paper now. I had a good life before, but now, like I said, God wants you to have extra. So I had an even more greater blessing when I was put in that family. My whole name changed. My last name is not my real father's last name. It's that man's last name. Amen. So, but that only happened once you stay under the covering, because when you leave, you cannot stay under the covering, and then Satan has his grip on you. So I challenge you to guard your mind. Take God's way out. And live under the abundance of God, because when you do, you remain in his covering. And Satan won't have access to your life.
Amen.